Have you ever wondered why every culture has shamans, medicine women, high priestesses? Hi, I'm Nicole. I'm an astral coach and an interactive artist. I've devoted my life to helping you find out more about your energy and become the artist of your life. This is number 22 in the interactive series called Practicing with Energies, where you choose which energies you'd like to start practicing and being introduced to. In the previous videos, we have talked about certain areas like the Bermuda Triangle, and we've talked to gods, we've talked to galaxies to find out how they relate to our daily life, and for later building stronger connections, which I call building bridges. In my coaching sessions with my clients, I help them build and develop relationships with these beings, especially if you already know why you need to. So that's why this series helps with those things. In this case, this is the Miko Shrine Maidens of Japan. In my meditation, I tried connecting with an energy that is the collective of it, but I was met with a representation of source because these are all individual human experiences. I did talk to them as well, but we're going to start with what Source had to say. This video is going to be a little bit different than the rest of the videos in this series because it's going to probably empower you and show you that we basically can be these priestesses and shamans in our daily life, and I will say why. So these were considered very serious professions, and they were the go-to to basically talk about any energies or problems that someone was suffering or needed some advice about. They would either have an instant connection that they didn't know about to kind of be a middleman of a middleman to explain things, or they had specific go-to beings that they knew they needed to connect with. And even more rare, the clients sometimes, or whatever they would call them then, would have suggestions of who to contact. And this was for everything. Anything goes. Like, it wasn't limited to things like now. Now we call people psychics, we call them mediums and things like that. But those are limited to what they are. I guess the psychics would be the closest, but when someone hears psychic, they think of just the future. And this was, like I said, about everything. It was like having a conversation with whoever you needed. And on the live last evening, I spoke about a little bit about this, and I was talking about how if we compare it to, we can pick like medieval times, like the 1300s, or let's say, or so, and everyone specialized in something. Now we can specialize in multiple things, we can throw away things, and it's just how life is. So we could have like a retail job, but when we come home, in our spare time, we could be building websites for people, you know, we can be doing anything. We could be baking for people, that kind of stuff. In that past, either you were born into it or you just stuck with something, and there was always some kind of thing going on with each one. So it's not that they didn't, you know, people say that in the past they had time. They didn't have time. They only had time to do what their profession was. So even if the case, which is the truth, like now even back then, people could be basically a priestess for themselves. But the issues that would arise were because of having no time and no training. So these ladies would be trained to get in contact. They'd have the regimen, they'd kind of have what we call awakenings and all that process with people who have had that before. And even if you're having a unique one, which they would be there for them, and it would be like a professional version of it. So like I said, there's no one that would even think that they could do that, because they would just go to the baker to get stuff, or they would go to the iron maker or ironsmith to get stuff. Like, they would go because they're the specialists. And so that way of thinking has gone throughout the ages, even though it's kind of ridiculous now. So despite our time that we have compared to it, doesn't mean we have some, but we actually can. We could if we wanted to. Wouldn't be great, but we could. They literally couldn't. Even if we got interested in it, we are trained at the moment, and this is what I've devoted my life to. We are trained to think that we have to do things on behalf of others that we see that they're doing, what they put out there. And this isn't a bad thing, and there are some people happy with it, but the people who are feeling stuck and struggling and really comparing themselves or feeling like they're not enough and that their life is, you know, not what they thought, it's usually those are the people that probably need to try this out. And when I say try this out, you go within. And that's how I started my TikTok, by talking about going within. Going within, and any way that you can. You could do meditation, you could, you know, ride a bike, you can go for a run, you can knit, you can do anything. Whatever helps you to start listening to your internal voice. Then the next stage is to start asking questions. And my live is dedicated to that. It's on at 9 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, unless there's a class, which is usually at 9:30, every day, unless I have plans or a lot of clients that day. So it's one of those things that it seems hilarious when someone says it, but when you actually try, it's like, if someone says you can ask any question you want, and you're like, okay, well, what am I gonna ask? I don't know what I want. But I do know that I want stuff, but I don't know what that is that I want. Like, you know you want something, but you don't know what that want is. And so that stage takes you to the next stage of thinking for yourself. You start using that muscle in your mind, and you start reframing how you ask questions. If you're going to ask questions, what you want to do it. So there is a difference between demands and asking questions. Demands are natural, and that is the manifestation natural situation, right? So when you make a demand, it's like, I say, like you're getting the refrigerator open in the door and you're going to get something in the refrigerator, like a piece of fruit or something. When you do that, you're making a demand, which people would think is a question, the way that it works, but we take it for granted, and it's also unconscious. So when we're manifesting, when people talk about manifesting and channeling things and stuff like that, we're doing it completely consciously, and that is different. That's actually asking questions and thinking for yourself, thinking about what you want to ask, instead of just doing the normal things that people told you to do or you've been trained to do, and that kind of stuff, which again is not bad. People will go down a route where they think those things are bad, and they're absolutely not.